I recently got my reprinted copies of Lancer. I got 2 copies, one so that I can have for myself when I'm running a game, and the other one can be passed around the table for the players, because I feel like that's something that would happen. It would slow the game down if I only had one copy that had to be in both places. And I was reflecting on a couple of things about it. One is it's fucking thick. It's so thick. It is about twice as thick as a D&D core book at the same price. Which is, I think makes a statement about value for your money, right? So that was the first thing I noticed. These are big books. They're big, heavy books. And another thing that I noticed was that as I am starting to like actually look through, because I've read the PDFs for a while, so I was kind of generally familiar with the content and the rules. I've really started like digging like straight into the GMing tools for how to like build an encounter, because I want to run a couple of one-shots. Not at this time planning to do a campaign, but I do want to do a couple of one-shots. I want to experience the system. And as I do so, I realize, damn, this is some well-written stuff. Because for all the thickness and all the depth and all the weight of these rules, I feel like I can run a session of this. Like, it's not so heavy and so dripping with minutia that it would be daunting for me to run this game. Now, I've run heavy games before. I got my start in tabletop RPGs with D&D 3rd edition. Now, if you've played that, you know that that's a hell of a system. It's got some stuff going on. I think that's the heaviest game that I've run so far. I have run a couple of sessions of 5th edition. I did not care for it. I've run 4th edition, which is easier to run. I wouldn't say it's a lighter game, but it is easier to run than 3rd or 5th. The load on the DM is significantly easier because of how it's set up to make it easy to run. I've run Genesis, which is I'd call it a medium weight game. I've run L5R, which is also medium weight. It's about the same as Genesis. I've gotten to the point where I mostly don't have to prepare. I do occasionally prepare for L5R. Mostly I run it off the cuff now. So I'm no stranger to like heavier, crunchy games. But I was a little bit intimidated going into this, looking at the books and like how many rules there are, and how like system heavy this game is. But as I get into like the specifics and I start thinking about how to apply these rules, I realize, oh, this is actually really well done. This is how you write a rule book. So I go in with confidence. I've already made a video about Lancer specifically, and how I think it's a fantastic game for getting players excited for it. You go through the book and you think, that's super cool. Flip the page. That's also really cool. That's awesome. Like, every single page of the compendium has something super cool to like latch onto and say, I want to make a character that uses that. So I've already made the video about how exciting Lancer is, and it is a masterclass in getting players excited. But as far as like the technical side, it's easy to make exciting content. It's a lot harder to make good rules that are easy to use and are intuitive enough that you don't have to stop every time something happens to go look it up. Now, I expect that to happen a few times. I expect it to happen a few times during the first session. But what I plan on doing is running one game at license level 0, just so everyone can get a feel for the rules itself. And then I want to do a full mission at a higher license level. And the license level 0 game is just a tutorial. It's for myself and my players to learn the game together. So I expect during that game there's going to be some stopping and some looking up and some reminding. But once we get into the mission itself, I don't really expect that to happen very much. Now I'm already like coming up with ideas for how to like give myself little, like, not cheat sheets, but like reference materials, because I like to make cards, like playing card sized references for characters and for magic items and for powers or whatever. And so my intent is to condense an NPC stat block onto a card sized printout, and then I can just have a card for each NPC and reference it that way. So I'm making plans for that, and I think that is going to be a valuable tool. Now, I've been told that Lancer really is meant to be run with digital tools. CompCon for character creation, running it on a VTT to manage systems and the board and terrain and effects. I'm not doing that. I don't use digital tools when I run games or when I play games. I play in a couple of campaigns where other people are using exclusively digital character sheets, and I'm showing up with a paper and a pencil because I'm old. And that's how I prefer to do it. It feels good to me. So I plan to do that with Lancer too. And I think it's going to work out. I think people have overstated the importance of digital tools for this game. Is it going to be a lot? Yeah, probably. I expect it to be. I kind of want it to be honest. I've been mostly veering towards lighter games. Blades in the Dark. I would say L5R, lighter, on the lighter side. Powered by the Apocalypse systems, etc. These lighter games, they appeal to me for a lot of reasons, but I still have a desire for a heavy, crunchy tactical game, and I'm hoping that Lancer will fulfill that need that I have. So yeah, that's sort of the state of Lancer, the observations that I'm making going into this. I haven't run a session yet, but I am observing aspects of the rules that are just super cool. Just for example, because I like to talk about specifics. I don't like to make vague generalities. Oh, take my word for it, the rules are good. No, that's not how I roll. I'm going to give you some specifics. So the way that NPCs are made in Lancer is you have lots of like baseline, what I would call templates, but that's not what the game uses the word template for something else. But you have like baseline NPC stat blocks. And they scale up in 3 different tiers based on the license level of the players. And you can go a bit above or a bit below, but like it's made for, like, you know, tier 1 is the first third of the game, tier 2 is the middle, tier 3 is the end. So they scale up and down a little bit, and they have your basic abilities, and then they have a list of optional abilities. If you want to like kit them out 1 or 2 of these optional extra abilities, so you can customize NPCs not nearly to the same breadth as a player character can be customized, because that would be insane if NPCs had the same level of customization. But then on top of that, there are a number of templates. And these are modifications to the NPC that can make them bigger, tougher, can make them weaker. There's a template for turning something into a minion. And the book, more or less, like, it doesn't straight up call it out, but like I'm reading between the lines and I'm seeing, oh, a standard encounter is pretty close to the same number of NPC mechs as there are player character mechs. But if it's a minion, then you need 4 or 5 of those to equal 1 NPC, 1 regular NPC. If you go elite, that counts as 2 characters. If you go ultra, that counts as like 4 or 5. Those, if you've played 4th edition D&D, you recognize this formula. Like, this is very, very familiar. And there are other templates as well, but those are templates that you can apply, and they are mutually exclusive to each other, as they should be. But the like I'm looking at this like, oh, this is just 4th edition's encounter building minus like levels, because instead of levels you have like NPC tiers, which is like it's not exactly the same thing, but it is sort of the equivalent replacement mechanic. But like, I know how to build encounters in Lancer now because I've been doing it for years in a different game. So I really appreciated the ease with which encounters are built in this game. I was honestly like, building encounters was one of the things I was most intimidated by. Like, there's so much going on in this game. How can you possibly like go in and confidently build an encounter that is challenging, interesting, but fair? And I think it's obvious that like the people who wrote this book, they have read the same literature that I have, and they seem to have liked it as much as I did. So I go in now with confidence because I already know how to build these encounters, which also means that my familiarity with 4th edition's encounter building transfers over. I can now confidently modify encounters on the fly in the same way that I can do in 4th edition. Which is a useful tool to have in my belt as needed. So I'm excited to start doing Lancer stuff. It's like, if you are a creative type, then you know that it's not easy to come up with a lot of exciting material. But it's sort of natural. Like, that's the thing you're going to focus on. If you're a creative sort, you're going to want to create things that excite the players, get them interested in the game, interested in the character options. But you know, it's an entirely different ball game to have systems that work intuitively, easily, and well. Lancer happens to do both. And I'm just floored with how impressed I am with this game. So Lancer continues to be good. Second whole video on just how good Lancer is. I guess I'll probably be making a third after I actually run the game.